Three, two, one. Hey everyone, Harry Walchel here. Today I've got Vigdís Sagata. We're going to be talking about how Vigdís made her first sale in the past 2 months in the destination wedding space in the midst of all this crazy pandemic stuff going on. Travel's been really down, destination weddings have been down. So, Vigdís, thanks so much for joining me. Glad that you're here.
Thank you.
So, why don't we start with this? Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell everyone who's listening, introduce yourself, share a bit about your background and what you do.
Okay, so I help adventurous couples to plan an unforgettable and intimate wedding in Iceland with an easy step-by-step planning process. I started my company in 2016 and have been growing ever since. In the light of the COVID pandemic, it has obviously hit my business really, really hard. So the past months have been a bit difficult, but I'm staying positive, and I've really, really actually used this time to um, structuring my offer better, working on my sales process, creating a new website, and I've actually been doing a lot of things I wanted to do for some time, and so I'm also glad that I was able to do that now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's go like before even the pandemic and stuff, let's go back. Like how did you get into this field, like helping people plan weddings in Iceland?
Um, it's it's a really good question. So I actually come from the accounting industry.
Really?
I did my master in accounting and auditing after my business degree, and I suddenly just found that it wasn't for me to be in the office like all day long and sometimes evenings and weekends and everything. I really, really wanted to create something on my own. I wanted to work for myself, um, both to like have more time for my kids and my family, but also just generally to do something that I love, and um, yeah, just like get the feeling that I don't need to go to work every day. I think I think that was my biggest thing, and I have definitely been able to do that with my business because I never feel like I'm working. I'm just doing something I love. So I think that's why I got into it. I mean, I love Iceland. I love traveling in Iceland, and showing people our beautiful country. So for me this was I believe the perfect niche to get into, um, to be able to show other people my country.
Had you traveled and seen a lot of Iceland before you got into this field, or was it more like once you got into it, you started to see all the different aspects of the country and firsthand?
um, Both. So I have traveled a lot since I was just a small kid. There were not many places in Iceland I hadn't been to before. But obviously, like this destination wedding industry had me, to go even further to look for more remote places, look for unique locations where there are not a lot of people around and stuff like that. So yeah, for sure, I really started to find new places and stuff like that after I started my business, but I had also traveled a lot before.
What are the types of people that typically work with you? Like who do you help and like what kind of is unique about those types of couples?
So typically, I work with people that want to have intimate weddings. Um, we do a lot of like elopements, and smaller weddings, maybe with guests, with less than 30, weddings with less than 30 guests, sorry. So yes, I think like those are the typical weddings that we mostly do, like on the smaller side. And also we really love working for adventure couples, you know, that want to do something a little bit different, like getting married on a glacier or in a cave or something really, really different.
Yeah, so like I didn't when we started working together, I didn't know like what that there were like ice cave weddings and getting married and on glaciers and all this stuff. Like, so what are some of the
Right.
like really amazing kind of memorable weddings that you've been able to be a part of?
Um, I have to say, like last year in September, I did a wedding for a couple, and it was supposed to be in an ice cave. Something happened with the electricity in the ice cave.
There's
So
electricity in them.
yeah, so I mean, if they would not have any lights, it would be completely dark.
Ah, that makes sense.
So you need to have lights in there, and it's actually an ice cave where you go into a glacier. It's really cool. But anyways, the electricity was down and we couldn't use the lights, so we got the idea of like taking the couple in this super jeep to the top of the glacier, and it was like the most magnificent thing I have ever been a part of. Like you could see to other parts of the country from the top of the glacier, and the sky was clear, and you could see so far. And yeah, and the weather was just perfect.
Were they happy?
Yes, they were like I mean, they couldn't believe it, and like I think they were like they didn't even realize until like after the wedding how crazy this was. And then on the way down from top of the glacier, the lights were back in the ice cave, so we could still go in there and take pictures and everything. It was an amazing day.
It all worked out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I imagine there's other folks that help people plan these types of weddings, plan destination weddings in general. What do you think like really makes you guys unique?
I think what makes us unique is our friendly service. So what we try to do with our couples is really like find what they want to do. So I think generally when planning weddings, it's not always about what the couple wants. It can sometimes be about what the parents want or even somebody else. So I think like our important thing is to really get into what is meaningful for the couple, how they would like this date to be because it's their day. And it doesn't matter like what people want. Um, what they want is the right thing for them to do. So whether you want to have like a really fancy dinner in an expensive hotel, or if you just want to go, and have a hamburger with your friends after your wedding, that's like we love that. So we always just try to figure out what people want for their day and how we can help them make that happen.
Amazing. That's awesome. So cool. So like let's go back to the beginning of us working together. So what were you doing before we were working together?
Before we were working together, I was definitely uh, confused, like in the light of the COVID pandemic and so on, I really wanted to like use my time to do some marketing and try to like um get a better idea like how I want my business to be in the future. Because I think a lot of business owners, and I was like that myself, like I was just working every single day. And I wasn't really thinking like, how am I getting clients? And how do I want this to be in the future? And how am I actually doing my sales? And I had a process, obviously, but I needed help and I wanted to make my sales process even better.
Yeah, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but remembering back, like the other thing was, um, like I mean, you have how many? You've worked with tons of couples. You've been in business for a while. Like you've been doing great things. But when we started talking, it was like maybe there was issues with like kind of your service delivery and how much profit you were making and like your business model itself. Does that ring any bells?
Yes, absolutely.
Speak to that a little bit.
Yes. So, well, I wanted to um, change my business model. I wanted to go from like being charging maybe too little and getting too little for myself. Um, and obviously, that's one of the things I wanted to fix. And I wanted to, yeah, like, streamline the sales process, um, go over the sale itself, my prices as well, and how I could actually change my business model so I would um, yeah, so I would be able to make more profit.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And it's like, I think I remember there were some stories about maybe there were some clients you would bring on and you'd sell maybe like a one-time fee, and then they would be working with you for 2 years or 3 years, and it was like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? You remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, so before we started working together, what specific job were you trying to tackle? I mean, was the main thing trying to figure out a better business model, or was it the sales process, or a bit of both?
I think it was a bit of both. I think it was also to structure my packages. So, in the wedding industry, like packages are really common. And I think what you helped me like see was like um, that I don't necessarily need to do all these packages. It's rather like more about just finding out what people want.
Okay, yeah, so you have maybe some complexity in the way you're presenting your offers. You're kind of presenting these packages up front, and maybe that wasn't necessarily needed to get more sales and help more people, right? Okay, so before we were working together, how were you trying to solve these things? Were you just working on this, like just working on a way, kind of grinding on your own, or like what were you doing beforehand?
Yeah, I mean, I think I wasn't doing too much. I think I was just working on the weddings. So like I said before, that's why when I like suddenly had a lot of time to think about these things, um, I reached out to you because I want to get your help. So I think, um, yeah, honestly, I think I wasn't thinking too much about how I was doing it. I was just doing it like consistently without thinking too much about if it was the right thing or how I can make it better.
Yeah, so I mean, I think one of the things I remember you telling me is like before the pandemic, you were getting a number of leads every week from your website.
Yes.
What was it, like 20 a week, or like five a
Yeah.
week, or 20?
Yeah.
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 And
Be 10 and 20 a week.
10 and 20 a week. And so it was like, because that was working, this was all like out of sight, out of mind. But like
Exactly.
when that happened, when those leads went away, you're like, well, let me like evaluate everything, like the way I'm running my business, the way I'm doing my sales, like take this time to figure all this stuff out. And so it's kind of interesting. Like, I mean, obviously it's not great that the pandemic happened in general. It's not great that it happened to your business, but is it kind of a blessing in disguise that it forced you to think through some of these issues?
Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think it was I think it was really good to get help with the with structuring the offer and the sales process, um, and and yeah, also just like thinking further into the future, and trying to like build up a model that actually works in the long term. And yeah, like you mentioned, like before I was doing these services like maybe for years, still like charging a fixed fee, um, and I think we have pretty I think we have a pretty good solution for that, and I think it's gonna work out great.
Yeah, and I think what I'm just getting at is like it's just funny, and I see this in my own life, other clients, like how we're so good at what we're doing, we're working in our business that it can take like some sort of external shock to make us like reevaluate things that we've taken for granted, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and improve those things. So that's kind of cool. So like looking back, like where did you first hear about me? How did we initially get connected? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think you reached out to me over Facebook chat.
Cool. And so when we first connected, like what piqued your interest?
Um, I mean, we had a call, so I met you, and I think you're just a really friendly guy. You're really easy to talk to, and I think the biggest point for me was that um, you really just did get what I was saying, and I felt that you had an understanding how you could help me. And also, I knew you had been helping other people that are in a similar industry that I am, and that helped me as well to make confidence that you were the right person.
So was that Peter and like the wedding photography stuff?
Yeah,
So did
yeah,
you guys talked right together some?
yeah, yeah, we did.
Got it. So yeah, so for everyone who's listening, Peter's another client of mine who's like in the wedding photography
Yeah,
industry, and like
yeah,
it's not the same thing as what Vigdís is doing, but it kind of rhymes. And so I think I put Peter in touch with you before we were even working together,
exactly.
right?
That's yeah,
And so that was a helpful conversation with him?
yes, really,
Nice.
really nice guy.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. So once we started working together, try to remember back, like what was the first thing that we worked on?
Uh, it was probably like my sales process. Was it? Can you help me remind?
Yeah, no worries. So I think we started with like what was your message, right? Like what was your message statement?
Exactly. Yeah, that's
And
right.
then the offer structure. We looked at those
Yeah,
two things, right?
yeah,
So we worked on that, and then we also worked on your sales process after
yeah.
that, right? And your sales script. So just thinking back through all that, like what were, now that we've done that work, like what were there any surprise benefits of that process? Anything that really stood out? You're like, wow, that was super helpful.
Um, yeah. So with the message, I think you pointed out to me like some websites that I could use in general, like when making content and creating like content to that is like meaningful to my clients. That helped. So that was something new I hadn't seen before. Yeah. So that was really helpful. Um, and yeah, I think just like in general, like overall calls, I think you were just like really helping me. Like you really wanted to help. And a lot of the time I was a bit like, okay, I'm not sure how I can do this, or I'm not sure like how can I complete this. And you kind of just, okay, that's okay. And then you just came with another idea, or helped me like even further. So I feel you like never left me just like without something I could work on. So like always after our call, I had kind of like a homework to do, and I had a really good understanding like how to complete it and actually work on it. And I think that was the most valuable thing, like to get a really clear help and message from you, like how to do things.
Yep. So it sounds like what I'm hearing is like we have these calls together, and on those calls, like it felt like I was holding your hand like every step of the way. And then
Exactly.
once we had a call, like after the call, you always knew what was the next immediate thing that you needed to do
Yeah.
to move forward. Is
Yeah.
that fair?
Yes. And of course, like just having the accountability, I know that I would not have been able to complete what I did in 30 days if I would not had you on my side, because I was really strict with myself, like to book the meetings, and I always felt I needed to complete my last homework before the next meeting. So the accountability was really important too, and I got to um, do a lot of things in short time frame.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, like, I feel like a lot of people will work with somebody like me, and it's they give them like very hand wavy, like high level advice. Like, how like in the weeds do we get on all these issues?
Mhm. Yeah, 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 really deep. Like when I didn't understand how to do it, like you still helped me to do it. So
Right, like I mean, I remember like multiple calls where like going through like sentence by sentence, like your sales script, like
yeah,
picking it
exactly.
apart.
Yes, yes, and I mean, I think that's what I needed, and that's why I'm happy with the service, because I really needed help with what to say and when to say it, um, and not just guessing if it's the right thing.
So what areas do you think of your business and your own life like have improved so far based on what we've done together?
Um, I think so. Before this call, I just came um, from my first sales call like in 2 months.
And yeah, so what
uh,
happened on that?
and I actually signed up that client, which I'm really happy about.
That's
uh,
amazing.
yeah, I mean um, this COVID pandemic has obviously been really hard on my business, like I said before. But anyway, I can feel things are picking up, and I also like, yes, I was more confident on the call. Like I'm still in the beginning of using my new sales process, my new offer, my new sales script, and everything. And it was my first like real sales call, so of course it wasn't perfect,
Totally.
but but still I really felt I was more confident, and I was just I was really pepped up for making the sale. you know so yeah.
I'm so happy for you. It's amazing. So what yeah, like people talk about like giving being given fish versus like teaching how to fish. Like do you feel like you have like a better mental model about like how sales work, like why people buy, all that type of stuff that will like serve you going forward?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I will be working on my sales script like continuously. It's an ongoing process. It's not something that is just finished like in some time, and then you have like different clients on the phone every time, and you always need to adjust the sales script a little bit to each person as you go on with the call, of course. But yes, I'm much more confident, and I can definitely feel that it's gonna work, not just for this past call, but for future calls
For
as well.
future calls. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So yeah, why do you think these improvements have stuck? Like, why do you think that this is going to be something you can take going forward?
Um, because we have talked so much about it.
Put in the
And
work.
just
You've done the work. Like you've really, really put in effort.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that just by obviously being a business owner and so on, that it's much more like helpful to actually get this service kind of like done with you instead of done for you. So if you would have just wrote the sales script for me and sent it over, it would not have been like as good, and not even close to it, uh, because obviously when you go through the sales call and you adjust it every single time and you read it yourself like over and over, and I was able to talk about it with you like in steps. I don't know like how many meetings we did just about the sales script,
A
but
lot.
yeah, like, still it was like totally worth it, and it was what I needed. So now I'm confident on like um, adjusting it even more like as I go and get more sales calls.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like you saying about how if I'd written it and just given it to you, it wouldn't be as useful. It makes me think of like yeah, like if I had written it for you or someone else had written it for you, it's like because you have to deliver it, it doesn't really work because you have to like digest it. Like it can't just be here. It has to be like here, right? You have to know
Yeah,
it really deeply, and
yeah,
turning it over in your head, working on it, and you know the niche better than I do. So it's like it really needs to be birthed from you, but like having somebody who's a sales expert who can help you massage it and polish it, that's like where like the magic can really happen, if that makes sense.
yeah, absolutely.
So looking ahead to like the next 30 days, like what's the action plan for you? What's the game plan?
Um, my game plan is getting more people on the phone. That's going to be my main thing to do, and I'm gonna put all my time and work into getting more people on the phone. Yeah, and I'm just really I'm just gonna focus on that. I'm gonna try to be like not distracted by other things, and try to get real focus on that.
And practice some sales calls too.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's great. Both those things make a lot of sense. So remembering back to at the end of our sales process, me talking to you, right? Why did you decide to do business with me?
Um, I think it was. I think it's really simple. I just believed that you could help me. Like I said before, so I think like uh, the first thing was that you had helped other people, not in the same niche as I am, but pretty similar. So that gave me my like more confidence. But then in general, I think it was just really nice to speak to you, and I believe you gave me some points like how you would help me and which things we would be working on and so on. So I could really see the action plan um, on that call, and like what we would be working on the in the next 30 days. So yeah, but
Amazing.
mainly just like you are great to work with, and I could see it in the beginning as well. So
Just from the sales conversation, that it was, yeah, cool. That makes sense. So was there anything that like kicked you over the fence? Like there was any doubts or anything like that, or was like pretty easy decision for you?
I think it was a pretty easy decision.
Nice. Great. So would you recommend others work with me?
Yes, I would, absolutely. So go to Harry if you need help with your business.
Why would you recommend me?
So I would recommend you um,
Or maybe
because
better like what types of people do you think it's a good fit for working with me? Do you
I
know what I mean?
think, yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. I think like people that are already in business, um, but still people that need, um, they need like, they want to grow their business, obviously, and they want to like, yeah, sort of like, I lost it.
No
So,
worries.
yeah, so what types of people should work with
Yeah,
you?
either like types of coaches or consultants, or like type coaches and consultants at certain stages of their business. Like, why do you think it? Who do you think it'd be a good fit for?
Yeah, I think uh, people that would be a good fit are people that are already in business, and but they still want to like grow their businesses and get a clearer like future plan for it, if that makes sense. I think people who are maybe just thinking they're like thinking if and like what they need to do to make their businesses better, and working on absolutely like the sales process and stuff like that.
Yeah, so maybe like I mean they're already in business, they know how to make sales, they have some leads, but maybe they're not making enough profit, or like they don't see like a sustainable long-term path, and they want
Yeah.
someone to come in and like audit everything with them and like set up a stronger foundation so they can have a really profitable business.
Yes, and also like definitely business owners that want to work less. I think that's also like the big point
Yeah, like work
because
less in the business and more on the business.
yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I cut you off. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, so I think people that also want to work less in the business and more like on the business.
Totally. So if someone's listening right now and they're on the fence, why should they take action, Vigdis?
Because if you say you can help them, you can.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that I feel you're really like honest and genuine person. And I know that if you would not be able to help someone, you would tell them. When you really say that you can help them and you're willing to go all the way with them, take their business to their next level, that's what you're going to do.
Cool. Thank you so much. That's really kind. I appreciate that.
You're
Um,
welcome.
what what's your number one piece of advice for coaches and consultants?
Um, Number one advice: never give up.
Say more.
Never give up.
Stick with it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So if people, well, thank you so much, Vigdis, for talking to me. Amazing story. Keep at it. I'm excited to see what happens in the next 30 days for you. If people want to learn more about you, your business, like where can they find you online?
They can find me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Vigdís Segata, and we also have a website, luxwearing.is.
How do you spell that?
LUXWEDDING.is.
Perfect. All right. Well, Vigdis, thank you so much again for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Bye bye.